The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We talked about the Cubs in our first segment and the great start that they're off to so far, and talked about, the leading NL ERAs, and the Cubs have 3 of the top 4 of their rotation in there. And now we're going to talk about the White Sox. They're off to a good start as well. They just lost the series to the Texas Rangers. They lost 2 of 3. But they played pretty well. They had a lot of good offense. Just the starting pitching kind of let them down.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time before Matt Latos started giving up some more runs because,
Exactly.
He wasn't going to keep up his ERA around 1.
Yeah, I figured. I think I added him on my fantasy team. He had, I think, 2 or 3 good starts, and then I added him, and he had a good 4th start, and then after that it just sort of slid, and I dropped him a few weeks ago, actually, but... Yeah, he has not been that good, especially his probably worst performance was yesterday.
Yeah, 4 runs allowed, and even Carlos Rodon has not been that good recently. His
Right.
ERA is a tick below 5 now.
Yeah, and they seem to lose every start that Rodon plays. Every start that he pitches, they end up losing the game. On the bright side, the top 2 in the rotation are, at least right now, they're the 2 best in the American League, no doubt about it, as far as a 1-2 punch. Chris Sale and Jose Quintana are lights out, and they have played really well. And, of course, Sale, I think he pitches Friday. He'll be the first pitcher trying to move to 8-0, so that'll be something to watch as well.
Right, and the interesting thing with their rotation is, what's going to happen in that second half? They're going to have to trade for someone. Even if they signed Tim Lincecum, since they're reportedly interested, I don't think he's the answer.
Yeah, him and like
rotation.
10 other teams are interested in Tim Lincecum.
Yeah, I don't see Tim Lincecum as an answer for them. They're going to need to make a trade, and also you have to factor in you don't know what Carlos Rodon is going to do. It's his first full season in the big leagues. It's going to be up and down. You just need to figure out what you think you can get out of him, because right now his ERA is a tick below 5 at 4.99.
Wow.
And because he's had some bad starts. He had the one start that he pitched a third of an inning and gave up 7 runs.
Yeah, that was embarrassing for sure.
So, and again, he could be a great pitcher in a couple of years. Right now, he's going through some growing pains. And with Matt Latos, you kind of wonder how much he's going to tail off. Like, could he end up being their version of the second half Jason Hamill that the Cubs had last year, where you might only get 2 or 3 good innings out of him, and then you have to remove him? Because last year Matt Latos was terrible, and he's starting to look like that guy a little more now. Because, again, he's lost velocity on his fastball, doesn't have that big punch-out pitch anymore, and he's playing in a launching pad at U.S. Cellular Field. So... You don't know what you're going to be getting out of him. That's what you need to factor in. You can't just go and try to get a number 5 starter. You want to get maybe a number 2 or a number 3, and you're going to have to be willing to trade to get someone. Because, they're going to need their rotation to be good, because someone in that AL Central will catch them if you don't know what you're getting from the last 3 guys in your rotation.
Yeah, I would think the team to beat, the team to beat right now is the White Sox in the AL Central. But, you got teams like Detroit that are very good. Kansas City's the world champs. I don't think they're going away anytime soon. And in fact, I think as the season goes on, they'll probably get much better.
See, I agree with that right there. I think the Royals are going to have a big second half. And, it could be the situation the White Sox were in back in 2012, where they were in first place for 117 days, except they fell apart down the stretch. That could happen again. This team is much better than that team.
This team has a great offense, which that team did not.
Right. This team has a great offense. The bullpen has been good. The starting pitching has been great, except you do have to factor in the regression of Matt Latos. And
right. It's nothing new with Matt Latos.
Right. It's nothing new, except you can't be expecting him to go 6 innings and allow a couple hits like he was in those first 4 starts of the season. You need to factor that in when you're trying to decide who to go after at the trade deadline. And if they don't trade for anyone, then that really just shows that they're not committed to being competitive this year and making a deep playoff run, because I mean they're gonna need another starter to rely on down the stretch, because as you said, those Royals aren't going away.
No,
and they're gonna figure it out eventually.
Yeah, Kansas City's not going away, and Detroit is a good team, and I don't know about the Indians necessarily, and I'm not too sure about. I mean, we know that the Minnesota Twins suck, but
yeah, the Twins are kind of out of it. I mean, Cleveland could make a decent run. They've got a great pitching staff.
Of course, we've been saying that since what, like 2012, 2013.
Right. I mean, they're a team that has like a lot of talent. Obviously, they just got Michael Brantley back from the shoulder injury. Except they're just like a team that just hasn't put it together. I mean, they have great players. They just haven't put it together, and it doesn't hurt that it hurts that Carlos Carrasco is on the DL right now, because he's probably their second best pitcher after Corey Kluber.
Yeah.
And he's another guy that's been inconsistent. He's been like either really good or really bad.
Right. Yeah, he has been, and that was the same case last year too. And of course, when the White Sox cut John Danks, when they DFA'd him or whatever, they brought up Eric Johnson last week. He didn't pitch well. And so that they have a short leash, which shows you that the White Sox are trying to compete, and they really want to solidify that fifth spot. Because they brought up Eric Johnson, it didn't work out. They sent him back.
They brought up Miguel Gonzalez. He had a very good outing on the game one against the Rangers. He pitched 5 1/3 innings and allowed 1 run, except he's had 1 good start and 1 very bad start.
Is he technically the fifth man right now?
I believe he is, because he's up and Eric Johnson isn't, because he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings against the Blue Jays. So, and again, he's a guy that's kind of been up and down in his career, even when he was with the Orioles. He had a couple good seasons, except he's probably the kind of guy that'll have an ERA over 4, and the White Sox front office is going to need to decide what kind of improvement they need and who is going to get bounced.
Right, yeah. And, of course, there's a couple guys waiting in the wings down in the minors that have not been called up yet.
Right, Carson Fulmer's a name that comes to mind, except I don't think he'll be ready until maybe late next season.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't think he's doing too well right now in the minors, is he? I heard he's not doing as well as they would like him to. But
right, except, I mean, people are probably also trying to say that, or compare him to Carlos Rodon, who is probably about as close to Major League ready as you're going to find someone. And he pitched very well last year. He had some good starts and some bad ones. He just needs to get more consistent and not walk as many batters.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he'll be in the rotation for years to come, unless something bad happens to him or they feel like they need to trade him for some reason. And then, of course, the Sox just got Alex Avila back, so they have some more depth at the catching position, which will help them.
And if they were smart, they would just move him to the backup role, because once Deanna Navarro started getting every day at bats, he started hitting very well.
Yeah, he was lights out that series in Toronto. He drove in all the runs for them. He was crazy. And then, of course, Todd Frazier is off to a great start. He was off to a great start last year with Cincinnati and kind of tailed off in the second half. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Now that he's on the White Sox and he's on a winning team. He wasn't on a winning team last year, which is probably part of the reason why his production went down. But
he's an interesting case, because his batting average isn't that high. It's just like, if he comes up with the bases empty or a runner on first, he's either making it out or hitting a home run.
Right.
If there's runners in scoring position, he's driving them. He's driving them in. That's why his average is so low, because he's coming up when guys aren't in scoring position. He's striking out or hitting a home run.
Right, and of course, on a lighter note, he had that horrible injury yesterday, but he ended up being okay. I guess he bit through his bottom lip.
Yeah, I think I read someone said he could stick his tongue through his bottom lip, which did not sound good at all.
Yeah, he had 5 stitches or something. The funniest part about it was Hawk left the broadcast booth, told Steve Stone to take over, left the broadcast booth, ran down to the dugout into the opposing clubhouse, the Sox clubhouse in Texas, and checked on Todd Frazier to see if he was okay.
People were actually upset about that. I didn't understand that. Hawk had absolutely every right to do that, and it's a good thing that he did, because the White Sox didn't have any beat writers there, and the people that were there did not have access to the clubhouse in-game.
Right. So, I don't think reporters have access in-game.
No, so he was the only one that had access to the clubhouse to see what was going on.
I mean, it's a little strange that he left the booth. You would think you'd get some word from somebody else. But, of course, it is an away game, so you're not going to have an on-field reporter for that game.
That is a very good point.
So that's true. So you get a little leeway there. It was just nice not to hear him for an inning. And
I mean, I didn't get why people were so upset about that. He was going to do a good job for everyone. He was trying to report for the people at home that wanted to know, because he was the only one that could get into the clubhouse and figure out what was going on.
I find it interesting how he was able to get into the clubhouse, though. I feel like broadcasters probably wouldn't be able to, especially in game either. But
it is Hawk, though.
It is Hawk, yeah. That's true. And of course, I mean, it was nice to not hear him for a little bit too, because as we know, he's very hard to listen to sometimes. I know, diehard White Sox fans probably like him, but I really like the new broadcaster that the Sox have, Jason Benetti. He's really good. At least I think he is, and of course he's just doing the home games right now.
Him and Steve Stone have a great connection and chemistry
Yeah.
already. So, as we said, both Chicago teams own the 2 best records in baseball. It's been a
Never thought that would happen.
It's been a very fun season, and we can't wait to see how it turns out, because it could end with both teams making the playoffs.
Right. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back, and we're going to ask the question, since the Angels have lost almost all of their rotation, and they probably have no shot of making the postseason at this point. Should the Angels trade Mike Trout? Is that something they'd consider? We'll talk about it next on Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.